Support for Mission Nonprofit is provided by Thurston Talk.
Hi, I'm Robert Kim, and you're watching Mission Nonprofit. Each month, we connect with local organizations and agencies that are making a positive impact in our communities. We've invited Brian Windrope, the Executive Director of Senior Services for South Sound, to talk about their work. Thank you for joining us, Brian.
Thank you, Robert. It's great to be here.
So, you run the Senior Center that's downtown. You also run the Lacey Senior Center. Tell me about some of the other things you do.
Well, we were founded in 1973, and we've grown through the years to do a great many things. Around the state, there are, of course, senior centers of all types. Many of them are fairly small. They provide meals and an activity center and those sorts of things. We do all of that, but we also do quite a bit more. So Senior Services for South Sound, my predecessor, a well-known Eileen McKenzie Sullivan, who had been our executive director for, I think, 23 years and with the organization for 38 years, had added programs to the organization to meet different needs within the community and around the community. So you're right that we operate the Olympia Senior Center and Lacey, but we are the Meals on Wheels provider for all of Thurston and Mason counties. We do other programs all over Thurston and Mason County as well. We have a program called Brighter Days, used to be called the STARS program. It's an adult daycare program. For any of your listeners who've had to ever take care of a family member, you know that can be it's a 24/7 job if you're taking care of them yourself, a spouse or a mom or a dad. And often those people don't get a break. So our Brighter Days program that we operate in Mason County and in Thurston County is adult daycare. Those people can come in and have a safe, entertaining, stimulating experience, and the caregivers, the family members, get a break and go take a shower and do the things they can't otherwise do. We have quite a few programs. Transportation program. We transport seniors to medical appointments if they're not eligible for dial-a-ride or those things. There are seniors in Thurston County and Mason County who need advanced cancer treatment, for example, that they can only get in Seattle, and we provide that transportation. Volunteers do that driving. By the way, we're always in need of volunteers. You'll hear me say that quite a few times during this session. And various other programs. We provide a program called Care Connection, which is linking caregivers with people who need care. We vet the caregivers and make sure that they're the right people for the needs being met. So historically, before the pandemic, we had all sorts of different programs, housing assistance programs. We have a program called with the state, SHEBA, which is a long acronym for helping people with their Medicare questions. And then the pandemic hit, of course, we'll talk about this, but then many things changed. So as an organization, we are all over Thurston and Mason counties, and we are unusually large. Coming back to my earlier comment, we're a nonprofit, just like many of them are. But we have, when we're fully operating, before the pandemic, we had about 70 staff. And so we are unusual for our size and scale. There's an organization in Seattle, King County, in that area called Sound Generations. They're larger than we are. But next to them, we're about the largest in the state for providing senior services in a nonprofit capacity.
Yeah, you talked about the pandemic a little bit, and obviously this is an interview conducted over webcam, and normally you'd be here in the studio, and but we can't do that. So obviously a lot of your senior programs are on hiatus at the moment. The adult daycare you mentioned, a lot of things in the senior centers are closed. Is that right?
Yeah, my first day as executive director was March 16th, which may ring a bell with people, knowing that was the very first day that the buildings were all closed and the lockdown started, essentially shelter in place started. So when I was interviewing, everything was normal, and I got to see all the activities and all the energy. We serve meals in the Olympia Senior Center and Lacey ourselves, and also in locations in other spots like Shelton and Belfair, Rochester, Tenino, Yelm. We serve food. People come in, and enjoy a healthy meal. So I got to see all of that happening when I was a candidate. And when I was being interviewed, we had as part of the process, there was a big meet and greet where we had 100 people in the Olympia Center I mean, shoulder to shoulder, right? Everyone's interviewing me. I'm getting to know them, just like the good old days, right? Shaking hands and giving hugs and all that sort of stuff. And then my very first day on the job, the building was closed, and we immediately had to start dealing with pandemic realities. So it's been quite a whirlwind since then. All of us have been experiencing these changes and crazy days. All of us in the nonprofit sector have experienced sort of the juxtaposition of two things. One is, for many of us, our facilities have been closed, which cuts off our ability to do many of our normal programming. And yet the need in the community for our services has actually grown. And that's presented financial difficulties because we rely on our certain programs we do when we're open, generate some amount of revenue to provide funding for them. We do things like bingo, which is a really fun activity that generates revenue. But because we've been closed, we've been unable to do many of those, or all of those things that happen in person, which has also reduced our funding to do the things we can still do. So when I started in my first week, Eileen Mackenzie Sullivan and I had to start meeting that first week on the financial projections and the budgeting. And it was really obvious early on that we were going to have to furlough staff pretty heavily because we were closed. They couldn't do their normal jobs. And we didn't have, as a nonprofit, we don't have the kind of reserves that would allow us to maintain, staffing. So in my first week, we furloughed 39 of our staff. And what we did then, and that we still do now, Robert, is, like I said, we are the Meals on Wheels provider for all of Thurston and Mason County. And when this started, we provide Meals on Wheels to people who aren't able to cook for themselves, seniors. And it's important for your audience to know that it's not a financial criteria. It's about whether people can cook for themselves. It could be because they've had an illness. They could be just back from the hospital. It could be a longer term illness or something that keeps them from standing up in the kitchen and operating a stove and so on. It's not a question of money. It's just a question often of physical ability. So we have been doing that for many years now. And prior to the pandemic, we had about 213 people or households who received meals from us. And they would receive usually one trip a week. We would take them a week worth of food. Some people would get enough food for 2 meals a day. Most people just 1 meal a day. And then the pandemic hit. And so immediately, all the people who used to come into our buildings to enjoy companionship, friendship, fun, and activities and get a healthy meal couldn't. Mm-hmm. And some of those people aren't able to cook for themselves as well, and they qualified for Meals on Wheels. So our numbers of people served went from 213 or so. All of a sudden, the next week it was 250, 275, 300, 350, 400, 450. And it peaked out at just over 500 people. All of those meals are delivered by volunteers. We always need volunteers. Again, I want to put a shout out to that. We need volunteers who want to help seniors. There's many ways you can help seniors in your community, depending on your interests. So volunteers deliver the Meals on Wheels, and our kitchen staff switched over to doing all of that instead of serving people in person. And then all of our other things we did initially was we were trying to figure out ways to provide programming, but virtually, just like this interview. And we've gotten much better at that. We're settled into this circumstance, right? So we've become more sophisticated about how to provide activities and fitness classes and things online. Our academic classes have gone online. You can find all this on our website. So it's been a real challenge to try to meet the needs of seniors in our community while being closed, but many of these needs don't go away. In fact, they're worse. The economic challenges that exist. We're really concerned about seniors isolating. The research is really clear. We know this from our own families. Being alone at home is not healthy for seniors, especially if they're fairly inactive. Your audience knows that, it's not real conducive to a healthy quality of life. And so we're really struggling and doing our best to try to stay connected to people, give them social outlets. We make wellness calls, we call them, where We just call seniors we know. We have their phone number. Just, hey, how you doing today, Mary? Check in on people. And if they're fine, great. If they're not doing too well, we call them back again the next day, and we keep checking on them. Sometimes they don't have any family in the area. They're maybe tired of talking to their cats, right? So just a friendly phone call can make all the difference. And then a few weeks into this, a month or so into it, I started facing the reality of what we were in. And I read an article that fascinated me about a program in England that the National Health Service in England had started a national program of recruiting volunteers to help seniors who were sheltering in place. And they were hoping for, 50,000 volunteers. And within a few days, they had 1 million. The country just responded tremendously to the need to help seniors who were, again, sheltering in place, bringing them food and pharmaceuticals and everything else they might need. And I was inspired by that. So I thought, well, surely we need that here. And so we started a program where we call Do You Know a Senior in Need? It's a long name, but it's the name of it is what it is. Do you know a senior in need? And we have been publicly trying to recruit the public's help in identifying whether there are any seniors in our community, Thurston County, Mason County, who are sheltering in place and who need help grocery shopping. They're not wanting to go to the store. Even though there are senior-specific hours, it's still more risky for them. Or picking up their prescriptions because they don't want to go to Costco. They might need a new puzzle to play, a new book to read, or again, these wellness calls, just someone to call and check on them. And Robert, I'll tell you that we have yard signs up around the community. When you drive around town, you'll see them. They're blue and white signs. Do you know a senior in need? And it's working. We're getting many calls every day now from neighbors of seniors or the seniors themselves sharing that they need help with this or that. And there's some heartbreaking stories. We had a call just the other day from a senior. It was really heartbreaking. She has an elderly lady, and she was stuck at home, had been at home for a month without leaving her house. Before that month started, she'd gone to her church and received a little box of food that was supposed to last maybe for the weekend. And she was trying to make that box of food last for the month. She'd run out of food. Because she was so hungry, she was popping sleeping pills to avoid the hunger pains, just trying to stay asleep all the time. It was just heartbreaking. And we reached her, and my staff person who runs this program for us got off the phone with her, immediately threw together a food package and a care package, drove to where she lived, took her food, got her connected with this program. Now she's getting Meals on Wheels, and we're calling her every day. And she's stopped taking sleeping pills. She's doing better. She's gaining weight. That we really feel like that was a life-saving episode.
Yeah.
She was not doing well. So that any one senior in our community can be helped by that sort of program makes it worthwhile, of course. And so we're just doing everything we can to still meet the quality of life needs in our community as well as the nutrition needs of our community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that Do You Know a Senior in Need program, people call you and basically just give the contact information for the senior that's in need, and then you take it from there. Is that how it works?
Yes, that's one way it works. We have our phone number on those signs. You can also email us. So it could be, for example, here I live in Olympia. I have neighbors across the street who are quite elderly, and they're capable, but I know that they're staying home. I know that they're not going out. And I know that they're okay because they have some family in the area. But if they didn't have family in the area, I might think, I wonder if I should just go say hi to them and see if they could use some help.
Yeah.
So, of course, the public's in all sorts of different circumstances, but we can be called, we can be emailed, it could be by a neighbor, it could be the seniors themselves if they see our signs. We don't care. If we can find out about a senior who needs some help like this, reach out to us and we'll do whatever we can.
Well, let's go back a little bit to the Meals on Wheels program, because you have a great video produced that we wanted to show some clips of. So can we go ahead and watch a little clip of this video about the Meals on Wheels program, and then we'll come back and talk more.
Sounds good.
All right.
It's so important. It is absolutely crucial that we continue to provide these essential, very vital services to our seniors.
What's happening right now is we're making our meals with 7 stacks in it. So it's all different meals. And this is for one route. And once we get the 7 meals, we'll bag them. We'll put them in freezer bags. And then the driver will have 2 or 3 freezer bags to take with for each route. I know personally I've been able to deliver to a few people that wouldn't eat without the meals that we provide. All of our things are made from scratch, so we try not to institutionalize anything.
There's just no way that you can show appreciation for that. Thank you is about all you can say, you know. But I'm always grateful to hear his voice and to see him. Glenn, when he shows up with the food, or the other man who covered for one, that when they show up, I thank them, but it's not enough as to how I really feel about it. It puts a feeling of energy into me that goes far beyond the food. So the service of these people who take their time to help people like me, I couldn't say enough good about that. I can't take care of myself cook-wise. I mean, I can't stand up in the kitchen. You have to sit down. I can't make a meal for myself. And when I do make a breakfast with eggs, it takes me over 2 hours to really get it together. And then when I want to, finally to eat it, when I finish doing that, I have to go lie down.
Hi, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Mission Nonprofit, and our guest is Senior Services for South Sound. Brian Windrope is here to talk to me about the program. And we just saw some clips from the Meals on Wheels program, and that's very important for seniors that need meals and can't, maybe not just can't afford the meals, but just can't cook for themselves because, I mean, let's face it, cooking is hard and you got to clean up and do all that stuff. But so it's good that you have that lifeline to seniors and delivering them meals. So you were talking about in the first half how that program has grown from, it basically doubled since the pandemic started. Is that right?
Yeah, it had. It more than doubled, and it fluctuates for reasons you can imagine. You know, people move and change, and some people pass away who've been on the program. Now we're hovering at just about 400 people or so, which is still about double what we had before. Mm-hmm. And just on that note, I think it's easy for us to want to talk about numbers because they're important. But I remind myself that every single number, if we had one person, that's a human being, right? They may have been a mother, a father, a brother, sister. So I think I try to remind myself, and I would encourage your audience to do that too, that when you hear numbers like 400, whether that seems small or large to you, those are people who need this help. And every one of them had family at some point if they don't have it anymore.
Well, and then that number is every day, right? I mean, you're giving meals. I mean, maybe you're not delivering them every day, but you're providing 3 meals a day for every day, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah, we do deliveries once a week, and most people receive 1 meal a day what they get, but some people receive 2 a day, and it's a vital lifeline to people. You know, it's something that if you don't need it, you don't think twice about it. But if you get in that situation where you become if you're older and you have surgery or you have some illness and you can't cook for yourself, what are your options, right? Mm-hmm. You need help. And this program provides that help.
And you need volunteers for this program. You need drivers. Do you need people to cook and prepare the food as well? What other volunteering is included or is needed in the Meals on Wheels program?
Yeah, all of our cooks are essentially professional paid staff, so
Okay.
we're good there. We do use some volunteers in the Lacey Kitchen, on the edges of things, really helpful. So if you have interest in food service and food preparation as a volunteer, please reach out because we do use those folks.
Okay.
But most of the cooking is done with paid staff. And so we use volunteers for drivers. We really need drivers. We need drivers, especially in Mason County, around Shelton and Belfair and that area. Getting a good driver is tough. You know, it's people who do it. Once you start, people will do it for a decade. It's really meaningful.
Nice.
And the drivers are reimbursed mileage, and usually they use their own vehicles. And you develop relationships with people. You're dropping off food to people who you may be their only human contact all week is dropping off food. And so they're also eyes and ears for us. They might come back and say, hey, I took food to Mary and she's not doing well right now. We might want to give her a call, right? So it's sort of a Meals on Wheels is access into the well-being of seniors in our community. And we are able to provide them with other resources in many cases as they're needed.
Yeah. And right now the senior center is closed, but do you have any idea or plans for a reopening, or any idea when that might happen?
Oh, there's the $1 million question.
That's a tough one, huh?
Well, it's not so much that it's tough, it's just important. It's very important. Well, what I'll say is that in the early days of the pandemic, it was obvious what we were going to do because the governor came out with the plan for phased openings, and it was phase 1 and everyone was sheltering in place. Well, that was obvious. Then we got to phase 2, and that was clear that in the governor's plan, the Safe Start plan, it identifies at-risk populations, of course, as being seniors. And Robert, I want to say that the latest research I've seen, I read constantly about this, is that seniors over the age of 70 are hundreds of times more likely to die from this disease than people under the age of 40. So it is not just 10 times, which is some of the early data. It's hundreds of times more likely, not only because of comorbidities, you might have hypertension or diabetes or things that happen to us sometimes as we get older, but just age itself, the ability to fight off this disease. And that already in our country, we've had over 135,000 people die from the disease, which is way more than double what a normally bad flu season would be. So people need to get over the idea that this is just a bad flu. It's not a bad flu. There's an estimate of 3.5 million Americans have been exposed positive to the disease, which is 1% of our nation. And we've already had double the deaths of a normal flu season. So this is a deadly disease to many people, not just seniors, but especially to seniors. So we've been closed. When we entered phase 3, I realized that the way things were going didn't look good, but that there was some chance maybe we'd be in phase 4. In phase 3 that we're currently in Thurston and Mason County, the governor's plan is very clear. At-risk populations, it says, stay home, stay healthy.
Okay, so
That's
basically
plain.
they're still in shelter in place.
Yes, stay home, stay healthy. Now, during phase 3, one of the challenges we face in the state is that though that guidance, I think, is clear, there are senior centers around the state in rare cases, but a few of them locally, who opened in phase 3. I've since learned that most of them have closed back down again, but it's been difficult because we understand that seniors are bored and stuck at home and they want to see their friends again. But the risk of this disease and the mortality of this disease is such that we bear an awesome responsibility to not contribute to an outbreak among seniors. So, in recognition of this, I convened a task force. I needed help and wanted some more brains and some more insights into this. So I convened a task force, what we called our reopening task force, of 2 board members, 2 staff, and 2 at-large seniors from our community. And even when there is a sort of opening, I encourage the public to see it how we see it, which is it will be a process, not an event. It won't be just turning on the lights, everybody come back. It will be a gradual process where we incrementally open certain things in certain ways with certain restrictions and PPE and so on. Because even during phase 4, unless there's a virus or a vaccine or a cure, with the mortality rate for seniors, and we work with we have seniors who come in who are quite elderly, and some of them real struggling with their health, but they make it into our senior centers. So before we can open our doors to them and expose them to this virus, we have to be very careful, even in phase 4. So the task force recommended a series of steps, and that's where we are. Buildings closed for the time being, buildings closed throughout phase 3. We're heartbroken about that. Our doors are closed, but our hearts are open to our community. We're doing all we can to support and help seniors in every way we can. So I encourage them to reach out. We need all the help we can get with volunteers. We use volunteers all over our organization, drivers and people who make phone calls for us. You name it. We use volunteers. We treat you like gold. And of course, we need donations because we aren't open. We aren't able to do our normal fundraising activities like bingo. And yet we have all the needs we're still trying to meet. So every donation helps. Every dollar helps.
So if people want to donate or they want to volunteer, they should go to your website, southsoundseniors.org.
Yes, and if you search for senior services for South Sound or South Sound seniors or that sort of thing, you're going to pull up our website. Okay. And on our website, there's a very clear donate button and there's a clear volunteer tab. If you have any trouble with finding the website, or maybe many seniors don't have internet, you can call us.
Excellent. Well, I want to commend you for being up to the challenge and being challenged when you started the job and stepping into something you didn't expect, but you managed the best you could. But we're almost out of time. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to add any final thoughts or discuss anything we haven't discussed yet.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. I think one of the things I'm proudest of is I'm proud of how our organization has responded to this, our board, our staff, how people have really leaned into it and found solutions to problems. And I want to give a shout out to our community. The United Way of Thurston County has been tremendously supportive. The Community Foundation has been tremendously supportive. We have a new sponsorship from Kaiser Permanente. They're supporting our Meals on Wheels program really generously. That's fantastic. So I feel really good about our community here in South Sound and people banding together. The food bank continues to do all their great work. Catholic Community Services doing their great work. So I think we've been tested severely. And I think if you got us all together, if you spoke to all the executive directors at once, we'd be overall pretty pleased that we've been resilient and sticking together through all of this. And the final thing I'll add is I really want to I think seniors don't get as much concern nationally and even in the state government as they should. I hear from colleagues who are more politically active in Olympia that seniors don't get all the recognition as a concern area that they should. So I just want to encourage the public to really think about the seniors in your community, the increased chance they have of facing serious complications from this illness, and whether they may not be in the workforce anymore, but they've done their time working, and they are the most wonderful people in our community. So I want to speak for them and advocate for them at all times. Well
said. Well, thanks for taking the time to be here, Brian, over webcam. And thanks for all you do for the seniors in our community.
Thanks, Robert. Good to speak with you.
Support for Mission Nonprofit is provided by Thurston Talk.